Hello, today we'll be going through practice questions 1 to 10 for the CompTIA Linux Plus exam. Let's begin. An administrator accidentally deleted the boot VM Linux file and must resolve the issue before the server is rebooted. Which of the following commands should the administrator use to identify the correct version of this file? The correct answer is A. This command will list all installed kernel packages with rpmqa grep kernel, helping the administrator see which kernel versions are installed. The uname a command shows the currently running kernel version, which is critical because the administrator needs to ensure they restore the exact version of the deleted boot VM Linux file that matches the running kernel. Otherwise, the system may fail to boot properly. Why the other options are incorrect? B. Running yum y update will attempt to update all packages, including the kernel, but if the boot VM Linux file is already deleted, this does not fix the immediate issue. Also, running shutdown rnow would reboot the system, which is risky since the kernel image is missing. This may cause the system to fail to boot. C. cat-etc CentOS release only shows the CentOS version, not the kernel version. rpmuvh nodeps installs a package without checking dependencies, which is dangerous and unrelated to identifying the correct kernel version. D. Tell init1 switches to single user mode, and restore recon rvboot restores SE Linux contexts, but this does not help in identifying the correct kernel version. SE Linux context restoration will not recover the deleted file. Therefore, the correct answer is A. A cloud engineer needs to change the secure remote login port from 22 to 49,000. Which of the following files should the engineer modify to change the port number to the desired value? The correct answer is D. etc ssh sshd config. This is the main configuration file for the SSH daemon. To change the SSH port, you edit this file and specify the new port number. Why the other options are incorrect? A. This file is for configuring name resolution methods, not for setting service ports. B. etc hostname. This file only sets the system's hostname and does not control SSH or any service ports. C. etc services. This file lists service names and their default ports for reference, but changing it does not affect actual service configurations like SSH. Therefore, the correct answer is D. A new file was added to a main Git repository. An administrator wants to synchronize a local copy with the contents of the main repository. Which of the following commands should the administrator use for this task? The correct answer is B. Git pull. The git pull command updates the local repository by fetching changes from the remote repository and merging them into the current branch. This ensures the local copy is synchronized with the main repository, including the newly added file. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Git reflog. This command shows a log of changes to the local repository's head and branch references, but it does not fetch or synchronize updates from the remote repository. C. Git status. This displays the state of the working directory and staging area in the local repository. It does not pull or synchronize changes from the remote. D. Git push. This command is used to upload local changes to the remote repository, not to pull changes from it. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Git pull. A Linux administrator needs to redirect all HTTP traffic temporarily to the new proxy server 192.0.2.25 on port 3128. Which of the following commands will accomplish this task? The correct answer is D. This command appends a rule to the pre-routing chain in the NAT table. It targets TCP packets with a destination port of 80 and redirects them to the new proxy server at 192.0.2.25, port 3128. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The D option deletes a rule, not add it. Also, as port 80 refers to source port 80, but we need to match destination port 80. B. This matches destination port 81, but we need port 80, and the destination port is wrong. C. as port 80 incorrectly matches source port 80 instead of destination port 80, and the target port is wrong. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Developers have requested implementation of a persistent static route on the application server. Packets sent over the interface ETH0 to 10.0.213.5/32 should be routed via 10.0.5.1. Which of the following commands should the administrator run to achieve this goal? The correct answer is D. This command adds a static route to send traffic destined for 10.0.213.5/32 via the gateway 10.0.5.1 through the interface ETH0. It's the correct syntax using the IP route utility, which is the modern and recommended tool for managing routes in Linux. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The P option is not available for the route command. B. This is not valid syntax for adding routes in Linux. It looks like a configuration command for a different system, not standard Linux networking. C. Procnet route is a read-only file used to display routing information. Writing directly to it is not a valid method for adding routes. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Which of the following technologies can be used as a central repository of Linux users and groups? The correct answer is A. LDAP. LDAP is commonly used as a centralized directory service to store and manage user accounts and groups in Linux environments. It allows multiple systems to authenticate against a central user database. Why the other options are incorrect? B. MFA. MFA is a security process requiring multiple forms of verification but does not serve as a repository for users and groups. C. SSO. SSO allows users to access multiple services with one set of credentials, but it typically works with a backend like LDAP to store user information. SSO itself is not the repository. D. PAM. PAM is a framework for integrating multiple authentication methods into Linux, but does not act as a user and group database. It works with services like LDAP. Therefore, the correct answer is A. LDAP. A Linux administrator was asked to run a container with the HTTPD server inside. This container should be exposed at port 443 of a Linux host machine, while it internally listens on port 8443. Which of the following commands will accomplish this task? The correct answer is A. This command runs the container in detached mode and maps port 443 on the host to port 8443 inside the container, which is exactly what's needed. Why the other options are incorrect? B. This would map host port 8443 to container port 443, which is the opposite of what is required. C. The E flag is for setting environment variables, not for port mapping. D. Podman exec is used to run commands inside an already running container, and P is not a valid option for exec. Therefore, the correct answer is A. A Linux administrator needs to analyze a failing application that is running inside a container. Which of the following commands allows the Linux administrator to enter the running container and analyze the logs that are stored inside? The correct answer is B. This command uses podman exec to open an interactive terminal inside the running container named app, allowing the administrator to access the container's shell and analyze the logs stored inside. Why the other options are incorrect? A. This starts a new container instead of entering the running one. Logs inside the running container would not be visible here. C. This starts a new container in detached mode, rather than accessing the running one. D. The D option here runs the command in detached mode, meaning it will not provide an interactive terminal for analysis. Therefore, the correct answer is B. A systems administrator needs to clone the partition dev.sdc1 to dev.sdd1. Which of the following commands will accomplish this task? The correct answer is C. The dd command copies data at a low level block by block. Here, if specifies the input file and off specifies the output file. This will clone the entire partition dev.sdc1 to dev.sdd1. Why the other options are incorrect? A. The tar command is for archiving files and directories, not for cloning block devices. B. rsync is used for syncing files and directories, not for raw device cloning. D. SCP is used for securely copying files over a network, not for copying local block devices. Therefore, the correct answer is C. A systems administrator needs to reconfigure a Linux server to allow persistent IPv4 packet forwarding. Which of the following commands is the correct way to accomplish this task? The correct answer is B. This command enables IPv4 packet forwarding immediately using the sysctl utility. To make it persistent across reboots, you would also add net IPv4 ipforward equals 1 to the etc sysctl.conf file. Why the other options are incorrect? A. Changes made this way are not persistent after reboot. C. Firewall command does not have an option enable IPv4 forwarding. It's used for managing firewall rules, not kernel network parameters. D. There is no systemd service called IPv4 forwarding. Packet forwarding is managed at the kernel level, not as a systemd service. Therefore, the correct answer is B. We have come to the end of today's video. If you liked the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Goodbye.